What's up, Guardians? Welcome back to Tower Casuals, the Destiny podcast. Normally, you would be hearing Corey's sultry voice, but he's on vacation at the beach with his family. So instead, you've got me, Josh. And joining me tonight is my partner in podcasting crime, our tower quartermaster, our weaponsmith, I don't know what else to call him, Yeetus Elitus, our favorite returning Titan, A1 Johnny. With three
That's right.
N's.
You're slumming it again with me, kids.
We're slumming it again. We have a weapons twab. It's almost like Bungie knew that Corey had put it out there in the universe that he was going on vacation. So, John, how you been, man? You first time back since episode 100.
Indeed. You know,
y'all are getting some special treats. This is the first time in the next 10 days that you'll be getting John here. Of course, John's going to be joining us for the Destiny 2 showcase. I'm not going to call it Lightfall because Lightfall was always a work in progress name. Could very well change, and knowing our luck, it will, as if I keep saying Lightfall. So, Destiny 2 showcase. Johnny's joining us. Nerd is joining us. And Colonel Panic is joining us, making his long-awaited return to the show. We'll be recording it as soon as the screen says, thanks for watching. We will be recording it, and then I will be immediately posting it while frantically trying to get into the new season.
Yep, we will be watching the in queue on our console.
Yeah, I will probably move the Xbox into my office for the day just so I can sit here and be trying to load in while playing. Or editing while playing. God willing, I won't have to do very much. But anyways, like we said, John is here because Corey is on vacation. We have a lot to get to tonight. We have some great questions tonight. We have a pretty, I don't want to say a meaty twab. John and I definitely did a double take this morning when Pete Parsons was tweeting about the twab, and we were like, oh shit, is something gonna happen?
Yeah, they dropping some bombs on us today.
Everyone noted that Pete was tweeting about it. Most content creators were like, oh lord, here we go. Watts from DCP was like, of course we're not recording tonight, and Pete is tweeting about the TWAP. Fantastic. Rest assured, it's a good one, but it's not of massive world-changing consequences. No state of the game, no surprise projects or acquisitions here. We're just gonna dive right on in. Corey and I have been doing the TWAB later in the show lately, but that's the bulk of what we want to talk about tonight. Is this an ARC 3.0? So
let's do it.
We jump straight into it. Right at the top of it, sandbox changes, and who do we have here but Mercules?
The anime PFP hater himself. Glad to be hearing from him on the other side.
I'm thrilled that we're hearing about him from the other side. He was just back on, what show was he? He was just on a show like last week too. And they got to be like pissed that he wasn't able to talk about any of this.
Yeah. Is he still doing Massive Breakdown? I know he's not on Firing Range anymore.
No, Firing Range. That's what he was on. He was on Firing Range last week. Nope, he does not do any other shows. That's it. He occasionally does guest spots, but it's with the guys that he's done them with for years. So
yeah,
let's jump to it. Global changes. Okay, I don't know why we need to fix extra heavy ammo dropping, but we are. That really annoys me, but okay. And then several weapon stats previously hidden, including airborne effectiveness, recoil direction, zoom, and aim assist, are now visible in the weapon inspection screen. Thank you, God!
What percentage of the population do you think are going to find out that airborne effectiveness is a thing next season when they finally see it on their weapon?
At least 85%.
That don't live on Destiny Twitter, that don't read every TWAB, that don't live on YouTube. They're just
I would say even if you do all those things, you probably still don't know where to go to look at those stats. Like, well, you and me have long advocated Light GG, DIM, etc. Like tools that can get into the API to show these things. I have no idea why it took so long for these to become visible, but lo and behold, it has in fact taken that long. Sorry, I just heard like a banging on my ceiling, and that was really weird. Like somebody was telling me to shut up.
We're
So
just getting
yes.
started, neighbor. Calm down.
Oh my god. Yeah, right. Hopefully I'm not like yelling too loud, but I think Chelsea would have come out and told me if I was. That's cool. API tools finally coming in. We are starting, and it's going to be something we talk about later in the while. We are starting to see more and more things unified with Bungie's back end to just make it easier across the board. On top of that, like, how many people do you think are going to complain about airborne effectiveness that never have before? Like, it's gonna be that, and that name assist, I guarantee you, are gonna be two major things that everybody complains about for like the next month.
Yeah.
Let's talk some weapons though, John. I think you and I are excited for a lot of these changes here. We're gonna hit on the ones that matter to everyone, like AKA we're gonna skip the hand cannon one because it's for one gun, and big whoop. If you use Dire Promise, you can go read your own patch notes. Weapon archetypes: Scout Rifles. Increase damage of all Scout Rifles versus minor enemies. Your red bars in PvE by 10%. This is in addition to the baseline damage buff given in the Solstice Balance patch. Excited. I don't think we really needed more against red bars, personally. I think if anything, we needed more against majors. But I'll take anything I can get. It shows that Bungie still remembers Scout Rifles exist.
Yep. And, as long as I feel like scouts, when they feel bad in PvE, it's when you're not one-shotting red bars. When you get into higher activities, when you're using 2 or 3 shots to down a drag, it
I
feels
mean,
kind of
I
bad.
would argue, like, in things like dungeons or raids, sure, but if it's something where, like, the light level is 20, 25 above you, like a master or a grandmaster or something, like, it should take you a couple hits probably to down those. Like, you shouldn't be one-shotting things in a grandmaster.
Yeah. Not in a GM,
primary.
surely, but...
Yeah, and I mean, like, but that's the thing, like, it never really bothered me in any other activity. Like, and I mean, I run scouts and GMs, so this doesn't really bother me. Like, cool, I'm getting a free extra 10%. Awesome. High impact 360 RPM auto rifles. Very excited to talk about these. I like 360s, but there's never really a reason to use them, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Has good damage output, but low ease of use, leading them to underperform compared to other options in the same engagement ranges. Increased base stability stat of all non-sunset high-impact auto rifles by 6 to 12, depending on the weapon. Numerically, this seems like a small change, but noticeably changes the field of weapons. This is going to be a gun-by-gun change. Firefight is, in fact, one of these weapons.
Yeah.
So that's probably going to cause me to go craft one.
Suros Regime's alternate fire is a 360, which also got a big buff this season.
Yeah, so I'm curious, when they say non-sunset, that surely that applies to exotics as well.
Yeah, that has to. I just think because they have to tune this for each individual gun, they're not going to go back through every 360. Right. That's, yeah.
Right. And I would expect to see more weapon changes along this, like, of non-sunset, because as we're seeing, one of the things we're going to talk about later that I wanted to hit John with is going to be what weapon boundaries do we want to come back, and this is some of these weapon changes are going to factor into that now. Lightweight bows has languished compared to higher damage counterparts for some time, in part due to difficulty hitting perfect draw shots, so we've made it a bit easier. Draw time reduced by 5%. Perfect draw window from 0.30 to 0.50 on the low end, from 0.55 to 0.80 on the high end. John, you use bows more than I do. I use bows never. So is this going to be notable? Give us an example of a lightweight bow if you have one.
Oh God, what's the fair Terradiddle, the funnest sounding one? I'm a big fan of lightweight bows, especially with new perks like oh God, what's it called? It only rolls on bows and fusions.
Successful warm up.
Successful warm up. With successful warm up and Archer's tempo, these things, you start to feel like Legolas. You're just slinging those things.
I have one with that roll. I need to go play with it a little bit more. Successful warm up though that's fucking awesome.
Yeah. And there's I like it on fast ones because it just makes these lightweight bows even faster, and I like it on the heavier hitting ones. Like I'm not sure if that's a precision frame like Point of Stag. I'm not familiar with all the different frames on a bow, But no, anything that you can do to make them feel better, I'm a-okay with, because I end up leaning. Maybe this is why I don't use scouts, is I prefer bows in the high end PvE content, just as a personal thing.
Mm-hmm.
So this is fun, just to make a few more, more variety, not just going to the same heavy hitting bows like your LeMonarchs.
Yeah, I mean, like for a long time, it really seemed like LeMonarch, Tikus, and Trinity Ghoul were like the three that were
Mm-hmm.
being used, and that was it. Like I didn't really see legendary bows ever. So maybe this combined with some other changes will get us to see some more legendary bows out there. Hand cannons. So we're skipping the hand cannon. Dire Promises Zoom stat got fixed.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
yeah.
Um,
They just fixed it. If you're still holding on to your god roll, good for you. It's gonna feel better in the sandbox.
Whoop-de-doo. Glaives. I'm very excited about this one. This is
Wild.
actually probably the biggest update outside of the intrinsic champion perks that we're gonna get. Glaive melee attacks now activate exotic armor perks on ACD, Feedback Fence, Karnstein Amulets, and Necrotic Grips. Necrotic Grip Glaives, ladies and gentlemen. I want you to understand how wild this is going to be.
Yeah, just AOE poison spread on every smack. That's insanity.
Man, that's gonna be absolutely dirty. And those stack with stasis too, correct?
Yes, yeah, no, that's actually one of my favorite ones to run necrotic grips with, is the stasis class, just because you get that freeze. They're all standing still, and then that
Yeah,
spread
yeah, yeah, yeah.
cracks.
Man,
Yeah,
that with a glaive now, oof, that's I catch John and I running necrotic grip glaives next
yeah.
season.
I think you're going to be seeing us wearing a dress next season.
Yeah, man, I'm sitting there looking at my Lost Sector calendar, and this coming weekend is your last opportunity. In fact, like as we're recording this, within the next like handful of days, it's not this weekend, I guess. It's early next week. I think like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, somewhere in that range, is the last time you'll be able to do the EDZ Lost Sectors for the exotic armor this season. I highly, highly, highly encourage you to go bang those out. I will be in there trying to get Curious of the Falling Star for my Titan, and I will be trying to get Necrotic Grips on my Warlock as
Yeah,
badly as I can. And also, I'll be grabbing Blight Ranger for my Hunter, because it's the
just
only
in
piece I
case.
don't have, and I'm sure it'll still be shit, but maybe it'll slightly be less shitty next season. I don't know.
On
Um,
that note, I do want to touch on the ACDO feedback
hit me,
fence.
hit me. You're the Titan. Hit me.
Yeah, almost no one uses these. Sometimes it can be fun as an anti-aping thing in PvP, but basically when you
I
get,
have been known to use them when I run my Titan in PvP.
yeah, but you get hit by a melee attack, you'll discharge some chain lightning. If there's any sort of synergy or way to enhance chain lightning with Arc 3.0, that might actually be a spicy pick for PvE Titans with the glaive, because you get smacked all the time when you're running a glaive, right? So you smack one dude, you get smacked back, chain lightning, and that just keeps repeating. So we'll have to see if that feeds into Arc 3.0 in any way. Otherwise, I'm not sure why they would add that. I don't know. We'll have to see. Keep your eye on that one though.
I'm very curious on this one. But for sure, Necrotic Grips going to be in a lot of
Yeah.
builds in both PvP and PvE. Like if there's an arena mode next season, I fully expect to see Necrotic Grips everywhere. Breach grenade launchers. Concussion grenades can no longer roll in the magazine slot. Blinding grenades are a better option in the same slot that serves the same purpose. Great. That's
Beautiful.
just a quality of life thing right there.
Yep.
We've had many a good roll ruined by that. Heavy grenade launchers. Increase damage versus majors and above by 10%, excluding Parasite, which does not need to do more damage.
Parasite does not need to do more damage.
We ran Deepstone a few weeks ago. Nerd, Joe, and myself went in with an LFG, and the guys that were in there were like, "All right, guys, Lament is no longer the strat for Atrax. It's now single floor Parasite." And let me tell you, that bar went from doop doop immediately. immediately. And
That
they were
damn
like,
worm
man,
has stolen my title as Edis Deletus, you know?
they were like, if you have they're like, if you're a titan and you have falling star, put it on. They're like, because if we get like even 3 of us doing it, we'll kill him in final stand. And we only had 1, alas, but it was quite funny. Everybody was very confused. I was trying to kill the boss by doing my impact damage from Mobius Quiver, and all anybody could see was just void everywhere. I almost made us wipe. um, Weapon pool. Updated the perk pools for Dares of Eternity weapons and added an origin trait. Great. That origin trait's gonna have to be really fucking good for me to go back in.
I'm so curious to what it's going to be. So far, they've been really good at designing unique and interesting origin traits, and for such a wacky game mode with all of these weapons that are homages to other franchises, I am so curious what that origin trait is going to be.
Yeah, I am. I have no idea, and it can't be something that only works in dares. The only weapon out of there that I would really want to re-roll with new perks, regardless, is this trace rifle.
Yeah, if they put incandescent on a trace rifle, I'm gonna lose.
Catch us running some dares until we rip our eyeballs out. God, just doing the 3 or 4 I did for Solstice felt like such a chore. If you haven't finished your Vidmaster seal, this is your motivation to go do it now. I will 100% be in there if Incandescent is on there.
Yeah. But I am happy to see it. If Dares is going to stick around, then
that confirms to me that the 30th anniversary stuff isn't being sunset like a lot of us thought it was going to be with whatever Lightfall ends up being. I mean, granted, it's 7 months away. They could still decide to sunset it, but I think that would set a really bad precedent to buy a $30 $25-$30 content pack and then vault it a year later. I think that's such a horrible
and can you
precedent.
imagine a new light next year not being able to get Gallarhorn? You know?
Well, I mean, so I think it would lure. I think that Grasp of Avarice would stick around, but that's my whole thing. Is like the whole appeal to it were the multiple armor sets. There's like 2 or 3 armor sets associated with it. There's Gallarhorn. There's the Gallarhorn quest. There's Grasp. There's Dares of Eternity. There's all the anniversary weapons, like
the Forerunner.
Yeah, I can't imagine sunsetting that pack when basically that's the only example I can think of where it's like, okay, this was not required for the story. This is a fun thing that we did. I don't ever want to see another pack like that. I've been really clear. The only time I would ever want to see another pack like that is if it was like they ever did a Destiny 3, or say hypothetically we get to the final shape and they're like, hey, we're going to sell a D1 legacy pack and bring over every strike and every strike and the remaining endgame activities that we have. Like we're gonna redo Crota. We're gonna bring Prison of Elders back. And if Wrath of the Machine isn't in there by then.
On Oryx's ship, wasn't there some sort of public event kind of?
Yeah, the Court of Oryx. Court of Oryx is very much a prototype for what they ended up doing with Escalation Protocol and Blind Well and things like that.
Yeah.
I always liked Court of Oryx because, hey, if you're passing through the main battle of the ship, you're going to see it going on. It's just people never wanted to stop and help, or by the time they got over there, it was over. I've been steadfast in my belief that the Dreadnought is coming back in some form. All I want is Shield Brothers as a Grandmaster, just so I have a new strike to throw my controller against the wall during.
Oh yeah, I don't have a whole lot of memories of D1, but doing that as a Nightfall was horrific, and
it's awful. Game. It's the absolute, like, it's up there with doing Corrupted on GM. It's bad. It's real. In fact, I would probably rather do Corrupted as a GM than do Shield Brothers. I'm going to be totally honest. Let's see here. Addressed an issue where playlist weapons, so Crucible, Gambit, and Strikes, were not randomizing individual perk columns, perk counts correctly based on the number of resets.
That's great. This has been one of my favorite changes so far this year, in a small way. I love getting weapons with like 5 perks on them, I feel like it's a nice rewarding way of, okay, I've played a fuck ton of Crucible this season. I've
Yeah,
reset
it's
stats a ton of
funny. So like
times.
the weapons I want it on are not in Crucible. Crucible is the one because of all the Iron Banner, all the trials,
Yeah.
all the regular PvP. Like that levels up so much faster than
Yeah, I
anything
feel like
else because
Shaxx levels up so much faster than
well,
Zavala or
there's so many different routes. There's the rotating
yeah.
playlists and all that. Like
Mhm.
there's comp. Fucking Drifter, you have to do
Yeah.
Gambit because they took away his little dailies you could do, which top 10 worst decisions we've made regarding the tower was taking away Drifter's bounties you could do anywhere in the system.
Yeah.
And then Zavala, I mean, Zavala has like 4 bounties that can be done anywhere, and that's why I always go to him whenever I spawn in because I pick those up. I personally, I'm gonna say it. Whatever faction or leader or whatever you pick up bounties from should give you rep towards that reset.
Absolutely, because that's why I actually, with as many Nightfalls as I do, that's why I struggle to get the Vanguard double reset done a lot of the times because I spend a lot
Yeah.
of time in strikes, but it's not in the strike playlist. I'm
Nope.
hustling higher level
I
Nightfalls and
honestly
DMs.
like if I didn't just sit down on the weeks when it's like Arms Dealer or Lake of Shadows,
Mhm.
when it's double and I go in and run like a second or third level Nightfall just like 10 times in a row, I wouldn't have it either. It's just
Yeah,
absolutely absurd.
yeah. It feels like I have Shaxx reset twice before we're halfway through the season. You know, compared to
Yeah,
Zavala and
I
Drifter.
just got my second reset with Zavala last weekend.
Yeah.
I did a run of Arms Dealer as a GM with I want to say it might have been with Nerd and no, it wasn't with them. It might have been with you and Max.
Yeah, I think
Um,
when we were hustling Max's last level to get him in GM
yeah,
shape.
I did one and that pushed me over the edge, but I mean that's it. I've been resolute in saying that I think that dungeons and raids should also give Vanguard rep because as far
Yeah,
as I'm
they should
concerned,
just
that
give
would
him
be
more
an offer.
XP in general. You know.
Well, yeah. All right,
Anyway,
let's move on to perks. We've got a lot to get through with perks, reworks, and buffs. The Gambit and Iron Banner origin traits were too specific to be generally useful, so they've both been redesigned. The Invader Tracker is renamed Gun and Run. I really think it should just be called Run and Gun, honestly. Gun and Run is just confusing. Redesigned
CNR, dude.
functionality to give a sprint speed increase on multi-kills. I hope that this is usable outside of Gambit.
Yeah, I think that's the point. Is that
Because
way they're not.
I
Yeah.
actually low key love this combined with the 360 buff. I
Mhm.
love this for Herod C.
Yeah.
Like I will actually just go dump a ton of Gambit Ingrams in. I will go play some Gambit and dump a whole bunch of Ingrams in early next season to get a Herod C like this.
Yeah. No, it's real
Skulking
cool,
Wolf. Skulking Wolf. Iron Banner's trait activates on kills while at low health, so it will work in all PvP now.
and that's awesome.
What John? Remind me what this perk is.
It takes you off enemy radar. So yeah,
Okay,
and
okay.
it as it stands now, that only works when your team is
Oh
on the
man,
hunt.
that's gonna be filthy in trials.
Yep. So yeah, so
Oof.
now you get a kill while at low health, and you'll disappear off the enemy radar for I think it's like 8 seconds or something.
My fear is now that they're gonna have an Iron Banner bow combined with the lightweight bow
I
changes.
mean,
I'm oof.
the last one was Point of the Stag, and it didn't have random rolls.
Iron
So
Banner trace rifle, baby, let's go.
let's go.
Ambitious Assassin has fallen behind perks with similar functionalities such as overflow. So increased magazine overflow from 10 to 20% per kill on primary weapons only. Special and heavy are still 10%. Increased overcap flow from 50% to 150%.
That's pretty nuts.
Fucking love it. Fucking love it. I like both of these
Does
perks a
this
lot. So
does does the increase cap only count on primary weapons? If not, does that mean you can get 3 or 4 grenades in a grenade launcher
I was
pretty
just
quick?
wondering that myself, and I'm sure that's gonna be like the first thing that like Fallout or Astacross rushes to test.
Yeah, can I get 4 rockets in a in an ambitious
That would
assassin
be
rocket?
wild. Give me 4 lasting impression code duellos.
Yeah,
Wellspring had an internal cooldown to prevent it from activating too frequently. We no longer feel this is needed. Cooldown has been removed, allowing for rocket launchers and grenade launchers to return more ability energy when defeating groups within a single shot.
Love it. Why not?
For grenade launchers, cool. Rocket launchers, like who's using Wellspring on a rocket launcher?
Yeah, whenever I see utility perks on a rocket launcher, I'm like, you are high. I get 7 of these things. I'm
Yeah.
not wasting them to get some grenade energy back. But
Perpetual motion was triggering frequently enough to be annoying, so we've disabled audio visual feedback on perk activation. Lead from Gold wasn't respecting the functionality of splitting the special ammo picked up when 2 special weapons were equipped. Now gives the correct correct amount of ammo to each weapon when 2 special weapons are equipped. That's why we got
awesome.
the nerf. That's why we got the nerf right there.
Yeah.
Yep. Concussion grenade. We already talked about concussion grenades. Vice Stinger was intended to grant ammo and weapons that support it, and charge draw time on bows only. This is inadvertently applying to linear fusion rifles as well, making it too strong for an origin trait on them. So fix the bug. It will correctly only refill the magazine from reserves when it triggers on these weapons. So Storm Chaser just got inadvertently better. Because it's only real competition. Reed's just got kind of got a nerf.
Yeah, Adept Reeds. I mean, and it's still
a
gonna
monster,
be an amazing weapon, but yeah, it's not gonna suddenly that with an adept charge time. It gave it insanely fast. It was like a machine gun.
And then updated the Zen moment definition, which they did not give to us. So maybe it'll make more sense to all of us now. They say it always confuse players, and that's true. That and particle repeater. So hopefully those actually make sense now. Here's the big meat. Here's the big meat of this section, though. Intrinsic anti-champion effects on exotic weapons. I really, really hope that, and they say that we will do this from time to time in the future as well. I think that like every other season, they should just do, if they have the manpower, we need to get like 4 or 5 weapons that have this. And we talked about this earlier. If it is a new weapon coming out that is an exotic, we know the season pass weapon already has them built in. Everything else needs to have some sort of anti-champion functionality, though, especially for fucking overloads. Because the overload weapons largely suck. Like, they just don't stun. The SMGs, the auto rifles, they simply don't stun quick enough.
And until next season, the only way to get a intrinsic one was Divinity, which is not so easy to do for a lot of players.
I can't believe that's the only one after 3 years of champions.
Yeah.
That's the only one. That's actually wild to me. I hate this. I hate it so much. But LeMonarch added intrinsic overload to poison arrows. John, I will let you have the floor for a moment now to tell people why this is the best anti-champion weapon in the game now that is not named Arbalest.
You
have the floor.
This is beautiful. I used LeMonarch and Tiku's a ton the season that I first got Conqueror when we had bow champion mods, and LeMonarch is I'm just going to go ahead and say LeMonarch is the best weapon for stunning overload champions. And it's primary ammo. You slug them with one round, and even if the actual arrow doesn't stun them, the poison very shortly after will, and that AOE poison spreads to all the ads around them, and it takes 5-6 LeMonarch shots, especially when you get good at getting the timing down to make each of them a poison shot. It's fantastic. That with the primary exotic damage buff. And a lot of people seem to forget too, so I like to bring it up every once in a while. Exotic primaries make heavy drop more often as well on kills. So this is a fantastic change for those seasons where your only overload options are shit. Like SMGs and auto rifles are just terrible at it. I just hate it. You get half a magazine into them and then they teleport, and then you have to reload, and then they're back at full health, and everyone's having a bad time. So always having LeMonarch in your pocket, especially if there's a void burn or a lot of void shields, that's awesome.
So there you have it, folks. LeMonarch, essential Nightfall weapon now. If you don't have that catalyst, this is your opportunity to go get it done. I will say one thing before we go any further on this. I saw a tweet earlier about this, and I actually really liked the take that it had. Tie the anti-champion properties to the catalyst for the exotic, so it forces you to actually go do the catalyst, because half the old catalysts do nothing anyways.
Yeah.
Like, that would give you an actual reason to go grind out some of these catalysts, and like the people who are always like, oh, there's nothing to do in Destiny, well, you'll have something to do for like 3 days now before you know life this too. I don't know. That's my personal opinion. I would have liked to have seen it done that way. Maybe in the future it will be for like the year one weapons or something. You
Yeah.
know, like well, okay, let's not get carried away. Meta multi-tool should not have its tied to a catalyst. But the
Yeah,
other weapons feel free.
yeah, and the only thing I can think is that adding intrinsic champions, there has to be something weird in the code. I can't think of any other reason why
Has
after
to be. I
doing
mean,
that.
it's spaghetti code. That's what we always talk
Yeah,
about.
because I can't see why else it would take this long to get so few weapons intrinsic. You know what I mean? It So I'm just gonna trust that I'm A1 Johnny, the veterinarian assistant, not A1 Johnny, the game dev. So I don't know what goes on behind it. But man, it would be
Yeah.
nice if this was there was a more regular cadence of this, so we had a wider arsenal every season, and folks like our good friend Bruce won't have to be upset every time there's champ mods that they're not, with weapons that you don't like to use, right?
That was cold. That was cold.
Love you, Bruce. Love you, Bruce.
Thunderlord added intrinsic overload. Malfeasance added intrinsic unstoppable to explosions, and as well as plus 25 to the base airborne effectiveness stat, up from 28 to 53 to match other precision hand cannons. Wishender added intrinsic anti-barrier. That this one is my big annoyance. Of all the possible weapons we could have given anti-barrier to, we went with Wishender. All right, I guess people will actually use Dickdinger now. Increased number of hits versus most targets from 2 to 3. More hits against vehicles, still 2 against players. Damage versus champs is increased, as well as majors and mini bosses by 10%. Draw time decreased from 8.2 milliseconds to 8.28 to 8.2. Okay, whatever. That seems very insignificant.
Yeah, but any faster draw speed, I'm never going to be mad about.
I think that is so microscopic, it's not even going to matter. Tiku's Divination gets a free small buff from the global lightweight bow changes. Draw time decreased from 612 to 580. Legend of Acreus. Who remembers this weapon?
I did today while reading this.
I was reminded that this was a real thing. I was asked like 6 months ago. A friend of mine got into Destiny for the first time, and he was starting to get golf balls, and he was like, hey man, what should I be buying out of this kiosk that's an exotic? He's like, this Legend of Acreus gun looks wild. I was like, oh my god, please don't buy that. And he had already bought it. I was very upset, and I rescinded my offer to play Destiny with him. It's like, I cannot believe you bought this over like the other 6 weapons I told you to get first. But whatever. The catalyst now grants Trench Barrel in addition to its other effects.
Yeah.
Different
and it's
version.
It's arc.
Oh man, different versions of the exotic paired legendary weapons did not have matching stats, so we brought them up to parity. Callus Mini Tool airborne effectiveness has increased from 23 to 28. Meta Mini Tool increased zoom from 13 to 14. Drang has had its airborne effectiveness go from 21 to 23. Sweet
Now,
business.
Josh, the biggest
Sweet
bomb in the
business.
club.
Airborne effectiveness from 27 to 30. Who is using this in midair?
Fucking total chads. That's who, Josh.
Who is using this in midair is what I want to know.
You pop heat rises, okay? You fly over some cover like an AC-130.
Unfucking real. Fighting Lions Season 17 5% damage buff was rolled back as part of a fix for a larger bug. This is being reintroduced and increased. Now receives the intended buff, increased from 5% to 8%. Increased grace time for instant reload effect of Thin to Herd from 5 to 6 seconds. All right, I think we're almost... I see the end in sight. I just accidentally like screwed up my entire web. I accidentally like right click, then hit like print preview or something. So now I gotta scroll all the way back down. Reworks. So I want to address this picture here.
Yeah, this
Okay.
is quite a picture to drop in a weapons tuning
So
swab, you know?
it's collective obligation with a lot of dead ghosts around. I don't think we've ever seen this image before because I'm sure we would have talked about dead ghosts.
Yeah.
To me, this feels like that kind of looks like. So I'm going to speculate just a little bit. I've got it zoomed in. I'm looking at it. It looks like part of it looks like you're inside of a pyramid,
Yeah.
but the light behind it reminds me of the Leviathan.
No, that's 100% on the left side of the screen. That's 100% the leg of that five-assed horse and roll ship.
Well, we're going in deeper, boys. That is a lot of dead ghosts, though, and there are some theories that I have had that I floated to John earlier. I'm gonna be that guy. I'm gonna keep them to myself. I want to see what the 23rd brings us first.
Mm-hmm.
If we don't get any like further movement on my theories, then I will share them. But I want to see kind of where we go with the story first, both with that and what the next season will be about before I start running around screaming about time loops and vex fishes.
But Bungie is not known to throw shit in there for no good
Yeah,
reason.
no, absolutely not. They know this is going to drive the community into a frenzy, and with us being like 12, 10, 11 days away from that, by the time you're listening to this, it'll probably be 11 days. Um, yeah, people are already having meltdowns over this. The more that they start, I did not notice it on my first read through. John sending me a picture is what caused me to go, "Oh shit." So with that, let's talk about reworks.
This is definitely gonna be has gone over well with the PvP community. A community normally looking to find something to be upset about.
I mean,
By
I'm
and
sure that
large,
I'm
happy to
sure
make
by
it.
tomorrow morning they'll have found something in here to be mad about. Lord of Wolves decreased starting ammo in PvP from 15 to 10. PvE unchanged. Reduced burst size from 10 to 5 shots when Release the Wolves is active. Reduced burst delay, time between bursts, by 60% when Release the Wolves is active. Decreased base damage by 20%, now deals 35 per shot to the body in PvP, 44 with Release the Wolves. Increased damage in PvE by 20% to compensate. So it brings it back down. This is like the fourth time we've had to nerf this motherfucker in PvP, first off.
Yeah, this is just one of those problem weapons where, unfortunately, just what it does intrinsically, it's so hard to balance in PvP. You know,
Yeah.
I feel like this is one you just gotta kind of. I mean, this seems like a good middle ground, and they've been working their way there. I like that every time that they do that, they give it a little bit of love to make it a little better in PvE, so it's not just a exotic everyone leaves in collections and never thinks about again. But
I like the
yeah,
PvE buff to this. I don't know that I will run this in PvE, but for the new lights in your life who still think that running an exotic
yeah.
shoddy in
Hey,
PvE is a good idea, here you go.
hey, the next time we get unstoppable shotguns, this might be fun.
That actually would be dude. Give me overload shotguns now. Dead Man's Tale. Cranial Spike was causing issues with unintended damage scalers against players and felt unpredictable both to use and to fight against. So change the effects of Cranial Spike to no longer buff damage versus players. Instead, grants increased reload, aim assist, and range per stack. Still grants additional damage versus PvE combatants. Upon reaching max stack of Cranial Spike, the Catalyst will now increase hipfire RPM by 50. It will fire at 180, but will deal reduced damage per bullet, 20% decrease. I love this. This lets me be the hip firing cowboy rifle that I always wanted it to be.
Yep.
That's gonna be wild. Momentum control, look out.
Yeah.
Collective obligation. God damn, nobody uses this gun. I have heard nobody talk about this thing. You got it and
Josh, you were
basically
there when
threw
I
it.
got it, and
You threw it
I
right into the vault. John was more upset that he didn't get the legendary glaive than he was with happiness from the exotic. I'm probably the only person in our group who would actually want to play with this gun, and even I don't want it. I don't even want this pulse rifle.
it has so much going on. It's so unique. It looks amazing. It's just, I think what killed any want to build around it is that you have to do so much work to get it all going, when I could just slap on any void weapon of any kind and give it volatile rounds.
So I like that you say that because they've reworked the gun here.
Yeah.
Increased void leech timer to 15 seconds in PvE activities. PvP remains at 10 seconds. Removed the cooldown. Added 20% damage bonus against PvE combatants only while leech is active. Takes less hits to fully charge the leech. Kills against debuff targets instantly charge void leech. Is also instantly charged when your character is affected by void debuffs. Does not work if hitting yourself with your own suppression grenade. Um, and fixed a bug where Umbral Sustenance was activating with non-void overshields. I don't know if this is actually going to be worth using or not, but it's an attempt. An attempt was
Yeah.
made here. This will probably be the last pass this gun gets for quite a while, too. Like,
Yeah,
for better
I'm
or
interested to
worse.
see, but like I said, after I got it, I spent a good couple days playing with it, and it was so much work to get going. And in lower end content, everything already dies so fast; it kind of doesn't matter what you're using. And in higher end content,
Yeah.
well, if I'm going to be running in an exotic pulse, it's probably going to have nanites, not weird void effects. So
Yeah, no, it's 100% going to be nanites. That's the only thing that you want to run, or it's going to be something called Mad Boo Boo or something. You know, rhymes with Mad Boo Boo. I don't know.
yeah, some
Um,
sentient hungry gun.
let's talk about the one that's got the PvP community really happy right now. In the next update, this is not even happening next season. This is happening right now. We will be reducing the effectiveness of damage resistance used by Omnioculus and Whisper of Chains in PvP. PvE resistance is unchanged. Worth noting, this is still a top tier PvE exotic. And I
Yep.
highly encourage you, if you run Void, there is no reason as a Void Hunter to not have a good Omnioculus in your arsenal. You should have this and an Orpheus rig, depending on what content you are running. You should always have those if you are a Void Hunter. Tier 1, 10% to 2.5%, 15 to 5, 20 to 7.5, and 25 down to 10. This is extremely, I feel, fair. I don't think that anything else needs to change about this. I have already seen a few people saying, oh, I don't think that that's going to be enough. Shut the fuck up. Respectfully, shut the fuck up. Like, at that point, you just want the exotic to not exist anymore. And that's fine and dandy, but you can't say, let's remove something that makes an entire subclass worth running in a whole ass mode versus, well, but I don't want you to touch anything from my class. Like, no, we need to recognize when things are broken across the board.
Yeah.
This is as
And
bad as I would. And I like that the response time has been fairly quick here because this has been something. Omnioculus has been a problem for a little while. It's been really bad this season, though.
yeah, it only rose in usage because of the Stompy nerf. So then you had
Yep.
50 to 60% of the community looking for a different exotic to run. And I I don't know if this will be enough, but it's really good. And
I
the
feel like
problem
this.
with
I feel like bumping tier 4 all the way down to what tier 1
yeah,
used to be is more than fair.
it's massive. The big problem with Omnioculus is if you know how to use it right, and especially if you're playing with other people, you can always get your smoke back. You just need to smoke 2 other people, and it's back instantly. So
Yeah.
really well coordinated, high level PvP play. This thing it's an absurd exotic.
I mean,
But I'm
and
glad that they weren't.
that's fine and dandy. That's great,
Yeah,
but like I said, you can't just say, "Oh, I want something completely nerfed and totally out of the game." And it
no,
always seems to be
I
targeting one class in particular because, like, we've all seen the numbers. There are more hunters than the other two classes, especially the higher up you go in
I
PvP. And
could
it's
think of a
like,
couple Titan helmets that the entire community was ready to burn down some Bungie offices
right,
of,
that was a
but
few years ago when we had very bad feedback from Bungie. Look
that
at
was
how
last
long
season
we.
with Loreley. That was earlier
Well,
this season.
Loreley was bad, and I would argue Loreley is still bad, but it's not. Once Class C restoration goes away, I'm not as bothered because I'm not fighting an entire team that's like that.
Yeah, and that's I think that's the thing about Omni is that you can give it to your whole team, and if you do, you get it back immediately, and you can do
And
it
that's
again.
like that.
You
That's
know,
fine and dandy. Don't get me wrong. Like I
yeah,
understand the complaints. I've had plenty of them myself. I source am Hunter. But it's the same
Play
thing that
Destiny.
it's the same philosophy that I had about the Stompy nerfs. If you need
Mhm.
an exotic to make you good at the game, then you don't need it. You shouldn't be using it at all.
Yeah. I'm just so happy that they didn't touch it in PvE. I know they've been doing that more and more,
Yeah.
but every time something becomes a problem, I get
This was
worried.
this and Loreley were absolutely critical to not touch in PvE.
Yeah, because then they would just be absolutely
I do still think
useless, and we don't
Loreley,
want that.
arguably, like, and I don't think we'll see the full effect of like what it would need until after Classy is gone.
Hmm.
Not that Titans like with Loreley benefit from Classy, but now you don't have 6 entire people using it, and you can't just point a finger. I do think
Yeah,
Loreley probably needs a tiny, and I'm talking like a small reduction, not a big
yeah.
one, but probably still needs another mini nerf, like bump it down like 2.5% or something.
Or what I thought, because even without classy restoration, people with healing grenades in every class
Yeah,
is
yeah.
kind of crazy. So, my thoughts is maybe they just change all of the healing effects in PvE to only be a cure and not restoration, where you keep healing even when you're taking damage.
I would agree.
Just boom,
I would
here's a
agree
big
on
chunk
that.
of health and not
I would absolutely agree with that, and I think that
Yeah.
would put the focus back on gunplay a little bit more.
Yeah. But we'll have to see. I think like this whole year, I don't want to say they've been dragging their feet, but I feel like once we finally have Arc 3.0 and every subclass is on a more or less even playing field, that's when they can really tune these knobs to get everything feeling right. Because
Well, I
look
mean
how
that's
aggressive.
what Kevin kind of said in his last like public communications we'll probably ever
Yeah.
get from him was that they've been a little like bogged down on the sandbox team with all these nerfs. First off, they deployed such a fucking massive change with the 30th anniversary and then
Hmm.
again with Witch Queen 2 months later that they kind of wanted to see where everything sat after subclass 3.0.
Yeah.
So I
Which
like
makes
that
total
we
sense.
already have a list of things that they're looking at for either the mid-season patch in season 18 or for season 19, and almost all of these I would say that I like, which include shotgun spread randomness, bow swapping effectiveness, trace rifle ease of use, introducing full auto. I would almost guarantee this is a season 19
Mhm.
thing. I cannot see that being a mid-season patch. They're going to want that to have its own like little twab and everything probably to highlight it. That is
Can't
a
wait for that.
massive, massive, massive like what's the word I'm looking for?
Accessibility?
Accessibility perk. Thank
Hmm.
you. Reducing the ability of snipers to shoot through flinch in PvP.
Love it.
Examining small targeted balance changes to PvP outliers, including pulse rifles with out of band effectiveness, high impact scout rifle ease of use, precision fusion rifle ease of use. So that basically means your Jade Rabbits and
Yeah,
what
yeah.
what's a precision fusion, John? Jotun?
I believe that's the frame that Aaron Till belongs to. The
Okay, that would make sense.
the very slow firing, heavy hitting ones.
That would make sense. I just immediately thought of Jotun because tracking. Um Allowing
Sure
glaive
makes sense.
interactions with some exotic armors that buff melees, because there are still more.
Hmm.
I'm very curious to see if this works with Liar's Handshake in the future.
That would be so cool.
Because that's the only thing like reading this, because we're about to go into our Arc 3.0 discussion, but Liar's Handshake is a big part of that. That would, if it worked with, if I could pair that with Nezarec's Whisper, I would never take off Liar's Handshake
Yeah.
as long as Arc 3.0 is good. You know, outcome pending. Fixing glaive hit detection. Thank God, it's a little
Yep.
janky at times. Reworking enhanced perks and folding spec mods into the base perks.
That's an interesting one to me. I don't know what I'm going to run on my guns in PvE if I don't need to worry about spec mods. That would open up a whole new thing to me.
So spec mods, John. Just so we have some terminology clear here, because they don't say this here. Spec mods are like our counterbalance mods, right?
I
Things like that.
believe they're talking about minor, major, and boss spec.
Minor,
Is what I
major, and boss.
read.
Oh, that would make sense. I'm an idiot. That would make sense. I really don't want them to take away my Taken spec mod, though.
I
I
get
would.
that,
I
but
suspect Taken spec would stick around because that is a raid drop.
yeah, that's more like a trophy than anything at
Yeah,
this
I
point.
feel. Hey, man, it did some work in Corrupted. I'm not.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
not gonna sit here and discount that at all.
but yeah, that's how I read that.
Yeah.
Is that they're going to work that into some other functionality, and then for the first time ever, you'll be worrying about weapon mods and have some options to
I
make and
mean, I
which would be
like
cool.
that
Yeah.
because my thing is, yes, we slap boss specs on things, but we started carrying last year significantly more. I mean, Vorpal's been around for a couple years now. It
Mhm.
really took off, though, I would say, with the with lasting impression chain reaction is really
Yeah.
when we were like, well, do we want Vorpal instead of one of those? You know, and
Yeah.
I think Vorpal is a good perk, but they needed to do something to make that more of a valuable perk, and I feel like this is the thing.
Yeah. But it could be fun, especially, we haven't gotten new weapon mods in a long time.
Long time,
Unless you count
long
unless you
time.
count the adept mods, and even those are really just enhanced versions of normal
Yeah,
weapons
I
for
feel like Take Inspect and Adept big ones would stick around no matter what.
yeah. So that could open some fun build crafting in PvE. It's also been a while since we've gotten a new armor mods as well. We've been sitting on
We
elemental
got
mods for a
no,
year
yeah,
now.
we got no new armor mods this season or last. I think the last time we got them was Lost. That's kind of wild. We've gone 2 seasons without them, but I think also at the same time, like the mods pool has gotten so big, and this is
Yeah.
like they've always told us this was going to be a side effect of not sunsetting things
Yep.
anymore.
That's
So
almost makes me wonder what kind of crazy stuff we would have saw if that treadmill of sunsetting would have kept rolling. If we only had elemental wells for a year, and then
yeah,
boom,
I,
that's all
I
gone.
kind of
Witch
wonder
Queen,
that, but at
here's
the
your new
same
steed.
time, we would how long would we have also spent trying to fix them, like to where they weren't like remember how broken Warmind cells were? Like
Yeah, that was
imagine
so
having to
fun.
deal with
Oh,
that for like an entire year. Like, nah, I don't want to listen to that complaining. I'll take this. I'll take this. I don't think we have anything else left in the Schwab we really need to talk about. Nope. Exotic ornament voting will start on August the 16th for which weapon we want the ornament for. Sweet Business, Rat King, or what was the other one? I forgot what the
uh,
other one was.
Sweet Business, Rat King, Arbalist.
Arbalist.
Arbalist is gonna win, right? Like,
Arbalist is the one that should win. Sweet Business would be nice, but Arbalist is realistically the one that actually gets used out of those three.
yeah,
And then
no,
they kind of detailed the process a little bit more. Like they're going to give the artist a few months to design these, and then we'll vote on them again, and then it'll actually go into production. That's part of why it's so far out. But man, knowing that this is like 4 seasons away is a little ridiculous. I do want to see more things like this, though.
yeah, that's awesome. That's just kind of the reality of game dev, I guess. That's kind of crazy to think that it takes that long to make one ornament. But I mean, think about when we were voting on our mech armor versus when we're gonna get it. You know,
I mean, that
uh,
wasn't that bad though. We voted on that shortly after Witch Queen came out. We voted on that like in March or April, and we're gonna get it in October. I would say that's nowhere near as bad. Like this is a little bit different because they're hiring an outside contractor to do it,
yeah.
and they've been really clear about that. Like, and I mean, that's somebody who like their job is not to explicitly just design this stuff, right?
And I imagine
So
there might be some back and forth between the community artist and the actual person making the ornament of like, hey, this isn't going to work for this reason. This is how we're going to adjust it, or I don't know.
probably I would say that's a near guarantee. Um, but John, while we have you here tonight, I wanted to talk about our essential Arc 3.0 weapons and armor to bring along. I had said bring 5 weapons along. I don't really have any like perks picked out for mine personally, just because like I think especially with crafting, there are so many good options now.
Yeah.
Um,
Are we going to start with exotics?
let's start. So let's start with exotic armors. We're gonna roll exotic and legendary weapons in together. This time around, we usually take far too long on these. I don't really want to be here for an hour and a half trying to break down a handful of
You saying I
weapons.
rant too much about weapon perks, Josh?
No, I'm saying that both of us do, and this is to keep us on track because we have several questions to get to tonight as well. Um, Arc 3.0, though. John, let's go ahead and kick it off. I think that you and I have at least 2 of the 3 same exotic pieces that people need to have going into
Yeah.
this. Let's get the big boy out of the way. Couriers to the Falling Star.
Yeah.
We
That's
don't
just gonna be
need to explain Curris to you guys.
It's already a must pick, and arc is bad in every other sense. So
Yeah,
compared to the rest of the
that's going to be big boy damage though.
yeah.
Number 2, we already talked about it briefly. Liar's Handshake. Liar's Handshake with if they give me the ability to use it with Glaives is going to be incredible. But that paired with a 1-2 punch shotgun is just going to be devastating.
Yeah. And no memes. Maybe Legend Vacrius with Trench Barrel into that Mega Punch. I mean,
Yeah.
we'll have to see. We laugh at some things. Like I remember when you and me were looking over Caliban's, reading it when this season came out, and we were both like, okay, whatever, dog. So I don't know. On paper,
Yeah.
it might sound boring, but we'll never know until we see it in game, and suddenly it's a strat.
For sure. My Warlock pick, and I granted I do not play Warlock nearly as much as John. My bias answer is the Crown of Tempest roll that Zur sold a few weeks ago. That was a natural 70.
It's just absurd.
If you didn't get that, I'm sorry. My serious pick is Geomags.
Yep, that's a safe bet for sure.
Yeah, Geomags. I mean, and I know that it's a cookie cutter safe pick, just like Cuirass. I mean, for hunters, I could have picked any of the like 4 armors that I have held on
has
to.
Been here for 4 years.
Raiden Flux has been here. I have a good Raiju's that I've just been sitting on for 2 seasons now.
Yeah.
It's like a natural 69, I think. So I'm sitting here waiting, hoping, and praying that Arc 3.0 is good for hunters, but it probably won't be. A Geomags, though, man, you just can't beat it. You can't beat it.
You know, I want to live in a world where Getaway Artist is a high-end PvE pick. Get that super arc buddy going, that there's enough synergy and things you can mix and match with.
I mean, hey, this may be the time that it happens, though. I 100% could see an aspect that buffs that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I mean, like, with the exotic armors, we're also just like, we are sticking to safe picks because we don't know. Arc is the one that needed the most work. And
Arc's always been a PvE.
We're going to shift to like some Arc 3.0 speculation in our questions, but I'm a little worried about the synergy here but then again, I mean, they've gone 2 for 3 as far as I'm concerned. Like Solar was like, oh my god, Solar sucks, and then they're like, oh my god, Solar's actually really good. You just have to know how to build. And recovery is so important now. So we'll see how that one goes.
And I can play a Titan healer now if I want to.
All right, so
Lumina, baby.
Let's go weapons now. John, you hinted that you have some exotics.
Yeah, I want to throw 2 right in the trash because I feel like they're too obvious. Risk Runner and Trinity Ghoul are kind of the closest that you could point to of like, this is what arc identity means for a weapon.
Yep,
right.
100%. Like, those are the weapons that should be those and the lightning grenades are where the discussion should be starting on arc identity for this team. But also, I would say, like, the enhanced mobility that you get in Dares of Eternity, because they said they want this to be a speed class. That is what the base, I feel like, arc sprint should probably be.
Yeah. And, you know, maybe I would get ran out of Twitter with pitchforks for saying this, but I'd kind of be okay if in PvP that's what Arc did. You're move fast as hell. You don't have any damage buffs or damage mitigation or self-healing. You know, you move and reload faster. You're a zoomy boy, and that's what it means to play Arc, you know. And maybe with as crazy as all the other 3.0 classes are, maybe that'll work. Could be fun.
I would be okay with that. I'd be absolutely okay with that. Especially, you know, as a jumpy boy, I'd be okay with it. My obvious one that I wanted to get out of the way was Cold Heart. I mean, Cold Heart's
the Ionic Traces.
It's been a good option for a while, but you can't go wrong with the classics. I would also say, I mean, like, I don't think it's getting any sort of like special buff. Divinity, like, not as a meme, has actually been like decent in PvP lately. I have actually run it in PvP. I don't know, like, especially if your team's shooting somebody, that person's going to die immediately.
Yeah, no, if you're running around with with someone, especially with like a 120 hand cannon, something heavy hitting. Man,
Mhm.
you as a 2-man team can just slay, but obviously that's reserved for people who are more skilled and coordinated than you and I are, Josh.
Yeah, 100%. That's a big brain. That's a big brain move. But no, I think John hit the nail on the head with Risk Runner and Trinity Ghoul. Let's shift into some legendaries.
Okay.
Uh, I admittedly, I asked John to bring a couple of weapons. I asked him to bring 5 weapons, and that's partially because I came to the realization I do not run a ton of arc weapons. Um, just like totally, completely putting it out there. I do not run a lot of arc weapons. It just does not fit into my identity. I run a lot of arc mods, but not arc weapons. Um, I guess I would say before we shift into weapons, 2 absolutely essential mods that you need to have for any arc build, really any build, period. Powerful Friends and Radiant Light.
Yep.
I personally really like running a Charge with Light build still all these years later. I will take any extra damage I can get, especially when I'm typically like on a support class. I'm not like I'm building those stacks and I'm not really expending mine because I'm not killing anything. So when the time comes for me to deal big boy damage, I can do it. Or I've got like just that extra little bit in Divinity, and like you see all those ticks coming up, like it's adding an extra like 200-300 to every hit. That can be the difference between wiping or passing on a
Yeah.
DPS check. So
I would say one to really keep an eye on. There's an arc um, elemental well mod that gives you 2 arc elemental wells for getting a finisher. So you can constantly feed
yeah,
your
yeah, yeah,
arc.
yeah.
Yeah, so that's normally I don't run it because I haven't been running arc in PvE, so I haven't needed arc elemental wells for anything. But next season, I have a feeling that's going to be a big thing. You can use that to make you charge with light. You can use that to make your arc melee abilities do 50% more damage for like 15 seconds. You can use it for Font of Might on arc weapons, so it's the only one of the elemental wells that you can really just get on demand like that without having to meet some sort of condition.
Yeah, I want to go ahead and knock my first 2 out of the way because they are, I mean, well, really 3 because listen, Storm Chaser, if it's not your number 1 pick, for a legendary, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah,
I have no idea what to tell you there. That should just be like
I'm.
absolute guarantee
It's
right there.
yeah, it's such an obvious pick that I'm shocked that we didn't see them reduce the damage here in
I
this weapon
really
fast.
cannot believe I cannot get over that at all. I think that is shocking. In fact, it's funny. Like all of my picks, I'm sitting here saying I don't use a lot of arc weapons. I've used more arc weapons, I think, in the last like 2 seasons than I ever have before. Storm Chaser. So Storm Chaser, I assume, was on your list, John.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was in my hey duh section.
I'm gonna try to hit one that you probably don't have on your list, but you might. I'm gonna go with. I've talked about it a lot on the show, so I don't want to dwell on it. If you want to hear my full thoughts on it, you can go back and listen to John and I's Vow of the Disciple recap. Insidious,
Yes.
the pulse rifle. That
Hmm.
I have kind of put it away because I had so many other good options to run, especially this season. I've been running Callus Mini Tool a lot in that slot instead, but god damn, man, that thing hits like a
Yeah.
fucking Mack truck. I love everything about it. I like the crafted perks. I like the rolls you can get there. If you are lucky enough to be able to go craft one, I would urge you to do it and start leveling it before this next season. In fact, I will actually probably go run a bunch of PvP or just some like low level strikes or something to maybe even some stuff in the Leviathan to try and bump up my level so I can get to some of those enhanced perks ahead of time.
Yeah.
That's going to be a big one
I think it's really
for
neat
me.
how it shoots 4 whole ass bullets a burst. That's pretty nifty.
I mean, we've talked about how weapons that haven't really had a bunch of modifications got them in this latest expansion. That and Storm Chaser are 2 of the biggest, most obvious ones. Um, so I mean, I really really like Insidious. That's probably my number 1 like real pick. Storm Chaser is a no duh pick, but John, hit me with one. Hit me with one on your list.
Well, It's funny. Two things are funny about my first pick. One, you mentioning needing to, hey, I should probably go level this up, and two, the 360 buff that's about to happen. Um, Come to pass, the Arc Throne World auto rifle.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I forgot that this thing existed.
Me too. Until
I also thought that it was void until this very moment.
me too. Until I decided to do a light.gg search on which Arc primaries roll with Golden Tricorn. Come to pass is the only one.
Come to pass, can you craft it with Golden Tricorn or not?
Yep.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that should absolutely be on your list to go get. Not only with these buffs, but man, if they insist on continuing to do like Overload Auto, this is going to be an awesome pick.
Yeah. And for the kids at home, if you haven't messed with Golden Tricorn much, that is a 50% damage bonus that you can constantly refresh just for getting arc ability kills.
I'm very happy that I was able to get Summoner with that.
Yeah, yeah. Any primary weapon with Golden Tricorn is an auto lock for me. I'm still unsure about it on special weapons. Maybe the Trace Rifle. I have the Dare's Trace Rifle with Golden Tricorn, but you get such few or so little ammo with snipers and shotguns, and you have to get 2 kills effectively, a weapon kill and an ability kill back to back to get it started. So it feels like a bit much for special weapons, but on primaries, pretty neat. So yeah, that's my first pick, and that's actually what I'm going to be working on as we're waiting for the next season, is getting that leveled up and crafted.
Yeah. I would say my next pick is Nezrak's Whisper. This is an interesting one. I'm still experimenting with it a little bit myself, but I'm trying to look forward here, and especially with the changes that are coming with Glaives, with the ACD feedbacks, and this could be a really good combo for Titans this the coming season.
Yeah.
But I've been running Nezrak's Whisper in some higher end combat. I got a pretty decent one to drop, and I've been liking it. I just unlocked the ability to craft it this week, so again, catch me trying and level this up as quickly as I can. I run a glaive in a lot of things now. Like, I don't go and do duality without running it. And that's usually me running either whichever one I'm trying to get the pattern for, or it's me running the Enigma. But I as we continue to see glaives really like come into their own, I do think that they are probably the most unique thing that Bungie's added to the game. At the very bare minimum, since Divinity, it's the most creative thing that they've done with a weapon, is the entire glaive archetype.
Honestly, I think we're a season away from them having to start nerfing them in PvP, especially if they can fix that hit registration thing so they're more consistent.
Yeah, I think that's the only thing that keeps them from being a top tier option in PvP right now. Because I'll be honest, I run them in Momentum, and it's really fun. I ran it in Iron Banner quite a bit, actually, too.
There's nothing more terrifying than you just unloading everything you have while someone with their glaive shield up slowly walks towards you. It's terrifying knowing that your only option is to run.
Or this is the end. Yeah, this is the end. And then I go, oh, I'm flying through the air. This is not good. So yeah, Nezrak's Whisper, man. I would like to see some synergy with that. We've seen it with the other classes. So
Demolitionist Adrenaline Junkie, which is always a fun combo.
Yeah, if you really want to lean like all the way into abilities. My only problem with that is activating melee abilities with a glaive just doesn't happen, and I get that because that's the whole point, but it is like really frustrating. I don't know. I can't tell you how many times I've been running a glaive and I've tried to like do my throwing knife and I can't.
Yeah. Well, no, the Demolitionist Adrenaline Junkie, that's your grenades.
Irregardless, that's the one thing I think that still bothers me. I would love to throw this thing like a fucking javelin.
Oh, for sure, that would be so cool. A returning glaive.
Can you? I've had bad grenades for so many years that I'm still like not using them very much as a hunter. Our grenades.
Okay, you'll get Warlock grenades next season. You'll be good.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited to get Warlock arc grenades. That's all I've run up. My Void grenades have been Warlock grenades. My solar ones have been Warlock grenades. It's been great.
You should play with the thermite grenade, the Titan one. That's pretty fun.
The trip mines are about the only thing that we ever had of use, and even then you had to be like really good with it.
Yeah.
So,
And still not something I'd run in PvE.
hit me with your next suggestion, John.
Mine is is an either or. Both are going to be fantastic and for different reasons. Forbearance from Vault of the Disciple or Salvager Salvo. I think both of these are going to be excellent picks. Again, with how easy it's going to be to keep Font of Might up all the time for your arc weapons, I think both of these are going to be fantastic. Both run chain reaction. You know how I feel about that perk, Josh. That is those are both of those are going to be my pick for number 2. If you're like me, and I know I am, you've never gotten Forbearance to drop for you in Vault of the Disciple, but I hear it's really fun with chain reaction.
Yeah, Salvage Salvo was going to be my next pick.
Yeah.
That was 100% on my list. If you don't have it somehow, it's still, in my opinion, it's the best ritual weapon that they've done.
Yep,
And
go get it out of the machine. I don't know what it costs, but
not particularly close. Like dude, it's like 1 Ascendant Shard, a couple Prisms, and like 50,000 Glimmer. Go buy it. What are you doing? What are you doing listening to this? If you don't have it, go buy it right now.
Even was it Chris Proctor that was talking about that when they were going over the ritual weapons of like, we wanted to make these all good picks, but not better than things that you can grind for in game. But Salvagers is busted though. Salvagers is wild. But
he's like, there's nothing we can do about Salvagers, so enjoy it. We're not gonna go nuke it. Enjoy it. The biggest thing with that is, I know that we definitely saw a decrease in usage of Salvagers as time went on, and we didn't have like the killer artifact mods. I would expect that it could show up next season.
Yeah,
I would not be shocked.
Even without the champ mod, you still saw day 1 VOD teams. A lot of people were running a kinetic SMG and Salvagers just for ad clear.
Ad clear, man.
Yep,
absolutely ad clear. Well, damn it, John took number 3 from me. God, I gotta actually think here for a second.
Can I cheat and throw in an exotic?
You can cheat and throw in an exotic.
All right. Now don't laugh, Josh.
I'm gonna laugh.
I want everyone next season. This is your homework from 1A1 Johnny.
I swear to fucking God.
Play around with symmetry.
Okay, that's not the one I was thinking you were gonna do.
What did you think I was gonna say?
For some reason, I was expecting you to pull out Rat King here. Even though it's not a work, I was expecting it.
Hey, be invisible on your art class, kid. Whip out the Rat King.
Jesus Christ.
No symmetry. Especially with the exotic primary buffs. Josh, it's been a week. My brain is fried.
John said it, not me.
But with what I talked about before, with how you're basically going to always be able to keep Font of Might up for arc with that finisher mod.
Mm-hmm.
And symmetry giving you those charge tracking rounds that all you have to do is get headshots. If you ever bring this into anything with champs, it is so easy to get 20 headshots on a champ and then just unload for 15 seconds with Font of Might buffed tracking arc rounds. That's the cool thing about Font of Might. That's 25 damage bonus that stacks with every other weapon damage buff. It might be worth revisiting. It really might, just with the exotic primary buffs and the scout buffs.
So I got one for you here. This is now. I feel bad because if you didn't get this before, you're not going to be able to get it unless Xur sells it. That's my only caveat to this one. But I am curious to see how LMG buffs are looking on legendaries these days. So this isn't really a suggestion. This is more of a, I'm actually pretty curious to see how that works out. And this can be an either or, because I've got 2 picks here. One of them is the Swarm, which was in Nightfall playlists up until last season. And then the other one is an old favorite of mine, the 7th Seraph Saw.
Yeah.
Now, I bring up 7th Seraph. You might be like, Josh, why are you bringing up a gun from the before times? Why are you bringing this up from...
Dare bring up Season of the Worthy to me.
Yeah, how dare you bring up... Seraph Towers? Is that why you want to talk about this? Because you grinded those towers? Well, yes, partially. I got one of these way back in the day with firing line, and I have held on to it for 2.5 years, and its moment has finally arrived. I'm very excited to play with this. This is more like an experimental pick on my end, but a legendary LMG, either one of those, I think they both have their merits. I
Yeah.
have a swarm with dynamic sway on it. I really like dynamic sway on guns, so very excited to try those. But hey, if neither one of those tickles your pickle, Thunderlord is sitting right there waiting. It's
Especially with the
intrinsically overload now.
But man, I'm thinking about that gameplay loop. You stunned him, and then you unload. You see the lightning from the sky crashing down. It could be fun. I'm gonna mess with it for sure.
John, give me another one.
Let's go with the old plug one, baby.
Again, another one you're not going to get unless Xur sells it.
Uh, unless you get your ass in a Nightfall this week.
You
when
have
this
10
episode
days. And right now it is Arms Dealer. Is that the one that's up right now?
I think
No.
so.
No. Yeah?
Pretty sure it's
No?
Arms Dealer this week, my man.
I don't know which one it is. Guys, it's been a week. I don't know which GM it is. Irregardless, you might have a chance to still. Yeah, you have you have 10 days to go get it. So good luck, have fun. But yeah, it is really good.
Yeah.
That is a top tier option. We were using it a lot during Splicer. We got them during Splicer, and we were using them a lot.
Mods.
Oh god, man, I miss those. I miss those fusion mods. I'm just gonna say it's my final pick because I just have completely bungled my list. Also, John took Salvage to Salvo, which I fully expected him to do. I'm gonna say it's a little bit of an off-kilter pick, but I think it truly is one of the best auto rifles in the game. I use it in a lot of content, regardless of difficulty. It seems to be one of the only things that really can work with like overload auto. Sweet Sorrow. I have this with triple tap, and I forget what my other perk is on it, but this thing is a monster. It's been a monster since the day it came into the game. It continues to be one now. I love Sweet Sorrow. I've talked about this in the past. Like when we talked about like best craftable weapons, I talked about this. Talked about it for raid and dungeon preps. This is a top tier gun. Like if you can't tell, I like running a lot of primary weapons. A lot of elemental primaries. So Sweet Sorrow absolutely going to be one to watch. That thing is just, again, it's an absolute monster. It's basically a mini machine gun. I run this in a lot of things.
It's an SMG that forgot it's an auto rifle. You know, it's
it went and got plastic surgery is what it did. Ikelos went and got plastic surgery. Once upon a time, Ikelos SMG would have made my list, but can we have a moment of silence for a fallen hero? Ikelos is so hilariously outclassed in like every single respect now, unfortunately. Which is good. I mean, back in the day, that and Ikelos SMG and Shotties were those were the boss melters in year one. My, how we have come. How far we have come in this silly game. John, hit me with a final pick.
I was gonna say Hothead, but as I'm looking through Destiny Item Manager, I am now realizing, with terror in my stomach, I don't have an Adept Hothead. I think we need to go do some GMs next week, Josh.
I'm absolutely not grinding for Hothead.
I'm gonna see you next week for some GMs, Josh. We're gonna get that Adept Field Prep Clown Cartridge Hothead, Josh. It's called Hothead, but it's an arc rocket launcher.
I hate this game.
So I'm gonna divert my final pick. I really think the Hunter Glaive is gonna shine next season. Let's go ahead and tie together everything I've been saying about all my picks.
So. I hope you're right.
The special ammo finisher with the arc mod I keep bringing up, that's going to give you, imagine every time you finish a dude, you get 2 green bricks and 2 arc elemental wells. to keep the glaive full and keep Font of Might up on your arc weapons. It could be good, especially if, like we talked about earlier, there's anything in Arc 3.0 that buffs or synergizes with chain lightning effects.
Mm-hmm.
Could be wild. Could be cool, man.
Could be cool. Well, there you have it, guys. Our suggestions, as quickly as we could do it, on Arc 3.0 preparation for armor, for weapons, a couple of essential mods to make sure you are on the lookout for. Unfortunately, Powerful Friends was just sold by Ada this week, so it may not be back for like 2 months. But follow whatever bots you have to, or do whatever you have to do. Convince an ailing grandmother, somebody to log in on your account if you're unavailable the day that it comes up. Get somebody to log in and get this for you.
Log in on Stadia, damn it.
Log in on Stadia, damn it. That's right. All you have to do is be able to get to the tower. Let's shift gears a little bit. Let's go to questions. I know that tonight John and I were originally. I had a fun topic prepared for us. I did not expect the TWAB to be as beefy as it was, though. Like with as many like meaningful changes we needed to discuss. So we're gonna table the discuss. John and I were gonna have a discussion on seasons tonight. We're gonna table that for a later time.
We instead had to talk about aerial effectiveness on Sweet Business.
Yeah, I kind of want to see what happens in 10 days before we have that discussion also, because if this next season doesn't have like some serious changes, then like bookmark it. End of September, we're having a discussion about
we'll be
seasons.
back to be mad in just a few weeks. Don't
yeah, I'll be back in like 6 weeks having a coronary over here over this. We have several questions tonight though, because I inadvertently missed one last week. And then we got 3 that came in today. So I want to shift to questions. Before we get out of ARC, we have an ARC question here. Joasis writes in, says, question, is anyone else scared for ARC 3.0? I've crutched healing for Solar and Void for so long now, I'm afraid that ARC won't have one. Man, I got some real bad news for you. If you're nervous because you're really wanting some healing for ARC, I want to direct you to 25 minutes ago when we said we think that ARC is going to be built around the speed.
Yeah, no, ARC should be speed and damage bonuses, right?
But I definitely get where I get where Joe's coming from, because I believe that I believe Joe Aces plays a Titan, so that makes sense. You know, he got used to the Overshield and then Loreley, so I can see Joe just yeet and punch everything.
That does not mean that they cannot give our barricades some sort of effect.
I'm sure that they will. I'm sure they will. I could see it. What if it was like a restoration barricade?
What if it just refilled your weapons? Something, you know what I mean? Like that.
Yeah.
That's what felt so bad when Void 3.0 came out. Going to any other.
What if popping your barricade reloaded your weapons and gave you a speed boost for 8 seconds?
Yeah, it just needs to do something so it's not literally just planting a wall. You know.
No, but like if it's a mobility class, you should be able to pop it and keep running, basically.
Yeah.
What if? Now, hear me out here. What if you go to pop your shield, and this is never going to happen. This is why I don't work at Bungie, okay? But you pop your shield, and instead of planting it on the ground, it's a fucking arc shield off to the side while you're running, and you're blocking from the side. But as long as it's up, you have extra mobility. You have double the movement speed.
Okay, PvP community, it's at Josh_Finn on Twitter.
I'm just saying, what if that was a thing that happened? John, what if that was one of your aspects, similar to how hunters got gunpowder gamble?
Oh god, I would love it.
Guys, the euphoric, orgasmic scream that you would be hearing is from John, all the way in the middle of nowhere, Oregon.
The only way they could top that is every time I pop my barricade, like a big Joker-style boxing glove on a spring comes out and smacks a dude. You know?
Nope, you're done. You're done.
I would not worry about Arc having a
No.
lack of healing, though. I think that will be part of the fun of it, is that you will need to rely on your team. You should have someone on your team that is either providing overshields or heals, mitigating that damage somehow, stasis by freezing and slowing. It's a cool, intricate sandbox that they're building, and I'm excited to see how the final piece fits in this game we call Destiny.
Very excited. And I think that you'll have better synergy between the three classes now. We'll know what needs to get buffed and what needs to get nerfed. I don't know why I did hand motions like sitting here in my office and I'm not on camera, so I don't know why I did that.
Good practice.
Let's hit Andre. I saw your question this week.
Andre, you son of a bitch.
Favorite exotic chest piece, the ornament for it, and say you get switched classes. So John would be a hunter and Josh, you would be a titan. What exotic chest piece are you rocking? The kicker is you can't use the same one that was already set. All right, so I'm gonna have to really think on this one because I know what John's gonna say for his exotic chest piece, and that's a problem.
I don't think you do.
All right, John, you go first then. So I'm gonna assume that this is for our normal class. So favorite Titan exotic chest piece.
It has to be Heart of Inmost Light.
Oh, thank fucking God!
Don't worry, Josh. You can pick your.
I love that you left the one that I know.
Heart of Inmost Light, especially since Stasis and 3.0 is just insanely. It's hard to put down. I'm actually almost glad we have Loreley because I was almost bored that right after this season launched, when I was playing with and experimenting with Solar 3.0, I was worried that I was just going to use Heart of Inmost Light for everything like I did with Void 3.0, just allowing me to constantly spam all of my abilities, making all of them do more damage. It works on every subclass. It's just that's usually where I point new Titans. I'm like, get that thing. It doesn't matter what you're running. It'll help.
Right. Hit me with your favorite ornament. Favorite chess piece ornament.
Favorite chess piece ornament.
I don't. Well, okay. So no, Andre wants it specifically for this one.
Oh, for this one? Well, unfortunately, there's only one ornament.
Yeah, no. Just give me your favorite one. Period. Give me your favorite exotic chess piece ornament.
Okay, the Hellfire Heart Titan ornament that makes it look like a jet stream. There's even little do not pull tags like you see on planes when they're.
So it's funny. I would have said that, but with the one that makes it look like it's on fire.
Yeah, no, there's 3 different ones and they all look cool, but I like the jet one because it makes it look like cold steel and it changes the flame to blue, and I think it's cool. But yeah, that one's super neat. I wish it was more useful than Heart of Inmost Light because damn, it looks cool.
I guess for me, listen, let me tell you guys something. For hunters, in terms of usable chest armor, we've got 2. We've got 2, arguably 3. We've got Omnioculus, we've got Dragon Shadow, and we've got Sixth Coyote. I guess if you're feeling like a really gutsy Ophidius spate could work too. I'm personally gonna go. I'm gonna go Sixth Coyote. I really like the double dodge.
It is fun.
With the utility that dodges give you now, yeah. Invis being tied to dodge, reloads, etc. You have all these perks now, you activate a class ability and it activates some of these things. Especially, with classy and things like that. It's top tier exotic. My favorite ornament though is for Raiju's harness, the Xivu ornament. That thing is disgusting.
Oh, I didn't realize they made a Xivu ornament for that.
That's awesome. Made a Xivu ornament for Raiju's 2 years ago. It was shortly after it came out, and I was all mad that they made it. And I was like, oh, I guess I'll just buy this in the hopes that it ever becomes good. So we're going to see. I like Raiju's, but it's, it looks cool. It's just not good. All it is pressing the super button again deactivates Whirlwind Guard early.
Which does make a useless super a little more functional.
I guess. I do like a lot of the Omnioculus ornaments as well, but I wouldn't take any of them over a Xivu ornament. And now let's swap classes. So John. Sorry, I have had 2 scotches tonight, so it's starting to hit me. John, what chess piece are you rocking as a hunter?
I wear my chest piece on my legs, and they're called Lucky Pants.
I hate
No,
you.
it's probably going to be Dragon Shadow. I've always loved this exotic, especially with how high you can push your mobility to get your dodge back every 11 seconds. It's almost constant. Make all of your weapons feel better, you know. And it reloads all your weapons, so you can do a lot of fun shenanigans with shotguns or fourth horseman in PvE if you want to go that route. But obviously, it's more of a PvP focused exotic.
Rockets too.
Yeah, yeah.
You get 6 galley shots off in like 8 seconds.
Yep. So that's my pick. I'm hoping for you all that they finally make a good looking ornament for it, because it does not match with almost any other Destiny armor in the game.
No, not even remotely. And for me, of course, the one, the only, Curious of the Falling Star.
Let's eat.
Let's eat. I do like Hellfire Heart a lot, though. Purely because of that one ornament. I like Armamentarium. I do have the fun Vex ornament for that one. So I mean, there's some good ones out there. But I mean, if I was coming in and like, oh, I'm playing on a class that I don't play on very often, which is how it is with my Titan, I'm 100% using Super Eat.
Yeah, hunters really don't have a lot of good chest pieces. I mean,
no, we don't. We don't have a lot of good exotic armor. Period. Frankly, it's very hit and miss.
Most
we have like
good boots.
We have some good boots. We've gotten some good arms lately.
Embrace the butt bombs. Embrace the butt bombs. They're good. They're fun.
Our next question comes from what the fuck is this? A1 Johnny wrote in. Who the fuck is this?
Nani?
This one is for Josh. Which Titan would you most like to run into in a sauna? I feel like it's got to be Saint 14, right?
Yeah.
He's gonna be like the least aggressive, I think. Like, if I walk in, Shax is going to like announce my arrival to everyone. Saladin is going to like want to talk my ear off, and Zavala is probably just, I don't know, hanging dong and is like, Guardian, come sit with me.
When Shax gets up to announce you, his towel is 100% fallen off.
Shax is in there still wearing his helmet too.
Oh yeah.
The helmet stays on.
Red Jacks are in there with him.
Oh, dude, it's gonna get fucking weird. Now, does Drifter qualify as a Titan in this scenario?
Negative. He is the Destiny's only Hunter Warlock cross class.
Okay, I wanted to clear that up real quick. It's Saint though. I feel like Saint would be like the least weird about it. Also, he's a robot, so like, is he gonna like, I don't know, can exos be in saunas? Does that affect them negatively? I'm an exo, so I want to find out.
I hope if they can survive the vacuum of space, they can handle 120 degree steamy temperatures. I'm hoping.
I think it's great. I think it's hilarious. the mental image of walking into a sauna and Saint 14 and Osiris just like chilling in there.
Guardian, I saw you last weekend. You wrecked them. Come sit. Regale in your victory.
Oh, try again. Oh my god. Yeah, it would be great. I want him to talk in only Trials of Osiris quotes. If I go in there. You are the reason the other people will cry. But moving on, we do have a third serious question, and I didn't want to save this one for last. It just kind of inadvertently happened. I don't know who wrote in. You wrote into our Instagram. And Corey is the one who checks that, not me. So when he sent this to me last week, it got kind of buried underneath an avalanche of other things. So I want to apologize for not getting to your question, because I think it's a really interesting one.
And to let everyone know who you are, when you hear this episode, go ahead and comment on Twitter underneath this podcast. I need you to hashtag Saints Sauna, and we'll know it's you.
I hate you. Everybody is going to do it now. Hashtag Saint Sauna is a thing. That's the true trials of Saint 14, the sauna. Speculation for you guys. Xivu Arath is the last hive god out there. already super powerful and to the best of my knowledge devoted to the darkness. Do you think it's possible she becomes a disciple of the Witness? Coming after us for revenge for her siblings and as a disciple seems like plenty of motivation. It would also be cool to see her as the only hive god to beat us if something like that were to happen in Lightfall. Thanks, y'all. So, I'm going to paint a picture for a moment, okay? There are a couple of pyramids in the Sol system right now. We have 3 that we know of. One on the moon, which Callus has connected with and communed with. And I think it would be safe to assume Callus commands the moon pyramid now. We have the one on Europa, which presumably will be Aramis's. And that leaves Savathun's throne world because Rolk is dead. I do think that Xivu Arath is given a pyramid. I do think that Xivu Arath becomes the commander of the Throne World Pyramid, actually. But we also have to remember that thing is kind of inoperable. It's not going to be flying anywhere anytime soon. The more likely scenario would be that she has one of her own already. But I would also say that saying that she's the last hive god isn't exactly 100% accurate. There are still 3 worm gods kicking out there that we know of, at least.
Man, Josh hitting the listeners with the well, actually, let's go.
I don't want to hit anybody with a well, actually, but there are still a couple of worm gods out there. There's still like, I believe 3, if my count is correct. Because we've dealt with Zol, and we have the dead worm inside of Rolk's pyramid, which is like the mother worm, essentially. So that leaves us with 3. I don't know how, if, or when we deal with those. Just full disclosure. That may be something that we deal with in like some Final Shape seasons or some dungeons or something like that. Xivu Arath, I don't think is going to be as scary as we think she is, because Savathun was scary because we had her built up for so many years. Savathun was a big deal because she's the god of trickery. What Xivu Arath is she's the god of war. So I think, if anything, maybe we go to her war moon at some point. I know it's long been a theory that, yes, Tortoball was destroyed, but what if Xivu Arath, because Xivu Arath was the one who destroyed Tortoball, what if she remade it into a war moon? I think seeing a hive war moon would be something that the franchise desperately needs, but I'm also like, I can't believe I'm going to say this, I'm not entirely convinced that we deal with Xivu Arath before the final shape, because you have to look at it this way. Go ahead, John. Go ahead. Get your thoughts in.
I have a wild harebrained theory, and maybe as a resident lore master, you'll have something conflicting to put me in check here. But as far as I see it, the Witch Queen and the Taken King were kind of pairs with each other. We spent all that time building up to Savathun. We had the bombshell in the Witch Queen that the Hive were basically tricked into becoming subservient to the worm gods and by proxy the darkness. What if Xivu Arath learns this and joins us in our fight to take down the Witness? I don't think we're ever going to ally with the Vex, but it seems a little weird that we went through this whole thing to.
You're not wrong. So you're not wrong. This is part of where my line of thought was going to take me to, and not to the same conclusion, but kind of close. You have to look at the big enemies we still have to take care of, and I know that Corey and I have broken this down before, but quick recap: we have the Witness, we have Callus, we have Xivu Arath, we have Aramis, like once and for all Aramis. Mm-hmm. She's as bad as fucking Tannix at this point.
Tannix has got at least one more in him,
and something is going to have to happen with Spider at some point, whether that's us killing him or him being executed by Mara or whatever. Something is going to happen with Spider. He's one of the last hanging threads there. I would say, like, the Vex are just such a conundrum because at this point, they don't really have a big bad left unless you just randomly introduce something, which that's all the Vex have ever been, is just random. Like, I feel like the Vex will not be... I think the Vex won't be fully explored until post-Final Shape. I think that may be one of the next great mysteries we set out on. What is the true nature of the Vex? We know that, like, the Soul Divisive, the sect that was in the Black Garden, worships the darkness, but not all of the Vex do that. I do think there will be a friendly sect of Vex at some point when we start doing our whole Avengers Assemble thing. I do think there is a friendly quadrant of Vex that could show up. but you only have a finite amount of time to deal with these enemies. And if you figure that the 2 remaining original raids, that one of them is going to... and we still have to deal with Savathun once and for all, too, because she's not dead. Imaru is still out there. Yep. She's absolutely not staying dead. She's going to come back and try and kill us again. You're going to have to deal with Savathun, Callus, the Witness. Who gets a raid first off? The Witness is getting one. The Witness is getting the Final Shape raid. It's going to be an Oryx situation. You kill him in the campaign and you kill him for good afterwards. There's no way he's not the final raid boss of the entire saga. There's no way. I would say that the Lightfall raid, I'm willing to bet, I don't know, I'll bet $10 silver to Corey or something over it, that Callus is going to be the raid boss. I think that would bring everything full circle. You kill him once and for all for good this time. Not just one of his stupid robots. You actually kill Callus. So then that leaves the question, well, where do Xivu Arath and Savathun go at that point?
Yeah.
And
that's what I'm thinking too, is we have like a year and a half left of this
I would say
leg of the franchise.
I would say that it's also been said that Xivu Arath is largely allying with the darkness out of fear. She is terrified of the Witness. I do think that a heel turn could come. I could see potentially both Hive Sisters turning, and then us just having to deal with them later on down the road for good. Maybe that's even like part of like the cleanup after Final Shape or something. But I don't know, if you kill one of them, like maybe they're restricted to a dungeon, but I don't know after the legendary campaign, can you put Savathun or Callus into a dungeon? Both of them feel like they need their own raids, and you still got Aramis, who's almost certainly going to get a dungeon.
Or maybe she'll be a pre, one of the bosses of a raid, but not the.
So I think that so you're hitting on an interesting point there that I hadn't considered. We had floated it once before we knew that Rolk was the boss of Vow of the Disciple. Obviously, what if you fight Savathun and you think what if you fight Xivu Arath before and then you kill Savathun, and after that is when you fight the Witness for the first time? I could see them going down something like that. If Xivu Arath is just so subservient to the Witness that she's one of the ones you have to kill in the final missions or in the final raid. Yeah. Like if you take, I could see it like building up sequentially. Like you have to kill a Vex Mind. Think 4 encounters. You have to kill a Vex Mind. You have to kill Aramis. You have to take down Xivu Arath or Savathun or whoever, and then you fight the Witness.
Yeah.
I think there's definitely some room there. As for the Cabal, like there's nobody else. There's nobody alive. There's no one alive unless you invent of an enemy.
Nezarec,
well,
I guess.
Callus, I guess. Yeah, the Nezarec theories are just wild at this point.
Yeah, people are getting carried away. They go in both directions, and that's a whole other episode.
They're getting carried away with Nezarec at this point. But I don't think it's all for nothing, but they are getting carried away there. Yeah.
But with Xivu Arath, we have 2 expansions left and one big baddie to get to. I don't see them taking up all of Lightfall with Xivu Arath. I mean, they could.
No, I don't think they'll do them back. I don't think they'll do them back to back. I think that if anything in Lightfall's raid, I do truly think that that's Callus.
Yeah,
I do truly think that that's Callus. Maybe Xivu Arath is a mini boss before Callus.
Yeah. I just see with the level of writing that Bungie's been going for the last couple of years, I don't see how Xivu Arath would see that Savathun got the light, wouldn't investigate, wouldn't find out what Rolk and the Witness in the darkness did to the Hive. You know what I mean? Like, and maybe that makes her double down. I don't know, but in my head, I feel like that might cause there to turn. She has the Taken now, right? That's our best theory, that she is in control of the Taken. Xivu Arath.
She absolutely is in charge of the Taken, 100%.
Yeah. Her and Drifter team up with their Taken armies.
Man, I have no idea what's gonna happen there, but that's a little like kind of explanation there. I'm actually like, I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. Like, that's gonna be our lore corner tonight. We are starting to run a little late. That's gonna be our lore corner right there. We just delved into like a whole bunch of different storylines all at the same time. In 10 days, we'll know if we were full of crap or mostly full of crap. Well, I can't wait to see how wrong we are because there's two final things I want to touch on tonight. And I can't believe this is coming at the end of the episode and not at the top when we probably should have talked about both of these. One, you know me, I don't like talking about leaks on here, but this one was posted by an official Bungie dev, kind of unwittingly on his art station. Probably didn't think that people were going to see it and send it viral. But there is distinctly a it's a finisher animation for the scythe animation for this season. But in it, you can see, and this could very well be dev tools, but there are 3 melees on there. There is a new super logo, and it is all green. It's not blue or anything. That is straight up green. And the best theory is that this is the long awaited 5th element, the Vapor class, that we were rumored to supposed to have gotten with Witch Queen, but they chose to put it off in favor of subclass 3.0, which incredible
Which was
move,
the
by
right
the way.
decision.
It was the right decision. I do think it's time, though. If you're going to do something called Lightfall, it's time. I've got some absolutely wacky theories about what Lightfall could mean that I've already shared with John. I'm going to save them for next week. I want Corey to be back for that conversation so we can get some final predictions for the showcase. But my absolute last note here, and this is a big one. Last night, one of the seasonal story heads, Julia Nardin, tweeted out that she has officially been promoted to the head of narrative for the entire franchise. And that
Definitely well
is
earned.
such an incredible move. Julia tweeted out before the seasons that she specifically was in charge of a lot of the writing for were Dawn, Arrivals, Chosen, Lost. She did a lot with Witch Queen, and then with Haunted. Every single one of those seasons is probably with the noticeable omission of Splicer and Risen. Those are probably the best written seasons,
Yeah.
and they've only gotten better as you go up that. Like,
Yeah.
I know that there's a lot of complaints about the gameplay loop for seasons and the season pass, and I completely understand. Like I said, John and I are ready to come back in 6 weeks and complain about the next season. But one thing you
The
cannot
writing has
argue,
not been the problem.
the story is far from the problem. And it's funny because at one point the story, I think back to how everybody's like, oh my god, they took away Black Armory, oh my god, they took away the Menagerie, yeah, they took away the Reckoning. What fucking story were you getting out of those seasons? That's what I want to come back to.
Even Season of the Worthy had some good story in it.
Even
And that season
Worthy,
was abysmal in every other department.
even Worthy had some decent story development. I mean, the pyramids randomly showing up was great on the bunker computer, but
Yeah, and everything with Fellwinter was
the
awesome.
stuff with the stuff with Fellwinter, and I mean, you know, you got to circle back to that. But I look at the scheme of things, and like we still don't have any idea what the 9 is. Like clearly, some things are going to have to wait until after the final shape. Like I don't think we're finding out what the 9 are beforehand. I don't think that we're finding out who Zur is. I don't know if we're going to get the truth about Feltwinter being told to Saladin by then. There are so many things that I just don't know if they're going to be able to cover. And then I think like, what was the purpose of Black Armory? What is the Menagerie did not move the story forward in any meaningful way outside of the Crown of Sorrow. And even that, like you had to read a bunch of lore. Like it didn't have an actual like playable story you were going through. And I will say that like even Dawn, which is one of the lower rated seasons, like overall, I mean, with good reason, because seasons have gotten a lot better, it still had an awesome story. We still did story missions to save Saint 14 and literally change the timeline, like forever. So the limits are endless. I'm very curious to see, like, I would almost suspect that she jumps straight to working on Final Shape at this point.
If she
Because
isn't already.
if she wasn't already, you're absolutely right, because I have and this is personal speculation, I have nothing to base this on. I would imagine that if they were already looking at her to become franchise director, that she probably already had a pretty big hand in Lightfall and may have been one of the
And
ones who was like, you need to split this into 2 expansions.
you know the season and expansion leads need to constantly be working together, otherwise it doesn't mesh, right? So yeah, wouldn't be surprising if she didn't already have a hand in Lightfall and Final Shape.
Yeah, I agree. Man,
especially with the personal narrative of individual characters, which seems to be where they focus so heavily on a lot of these seasons.
they focus a lot on these seasons. There's a lot coming out, and the seasons have been so important to knowing where the story is going to go with the expansions. I mean, yes, you could have just skipped from Beyond Light to Witch Queen, but I think what made Witch Queen such a rich experience was we knew everything that happened to get there. All the alliances that were formed, like you could just jump in there and be like, "Wait, why are we trying not to make the Cabal mad?" Question mark. And then you find out, oh, there's actually a lot of Cabal that are on our side now. There's Elixni that are on our side, which we haven't really had that come into play in the campaign yet. That's got to be. I would not be shocked if this next season we went back to Mithrax's story. It's been a full year since we checked in on my favorite four-legged boy.
I really I scan by r/new on the Destiny 2 subreddit, just hoping to see someone who hasn't paid attention to Destiny in like a year and a half and finds Elixni on the tower, with no context.
Oh yeah, and
they're still down there by Drifter looking at that vending machine.
That's a whole dude. That's the final shape, is figuring out how to order a Coca-Cola. But yeah, let's John, we're gonna get on out of here. If not, we're gonna have enough content for 2 more episodes. I want to thank everybody for listening tonight to Tower Casuals. Corey will be back next week for episode 106. We're gonna break down some final Lightfall theories, give our impressions on the overall season, and on a bit of dialogue that's going to come our way at reset. I don't think it's an actual event, but I do think it's going to be some serious dialogue we're going to have to listen to going forward. But that's thanks to a data mine that we've known about that since literally the beginning of the season. It hasn't exactly been masked. And I don't think that the actual words that are said have leaked either. So I want to go in with that as a surprise. John, thank you for joining me to talk weapon buffs, to talk Arc 3.0, to talk some Xivu Arath. Where can the people find you?
At A1 Johnny on Twitter, as always, and nowadays in the Tower Casuals Discord server.
Yes, we are about to talk about that one. We do. You guys asked for it. We did it. We have a Tower Casuals Discord. So feel free to come and join us. Come hang out with us. We've got some threads for the threads for the pod. We've got a general chat. We've got a Tower Casuals clan. We've got an It's Been a Week channel. We've got some fashion channels. We've got some LFG stuff going on. Corey and Andre were in there earlier trying to set up a raid for sometime this next week. We have got space for all of that. So check us out there. You could always send all of your questions to at Tower Casuals on Twitter. You can hit us on the Instagram. You can do towercasuals@gmail.com. You can hit us up in the Discord like Andre did this week, or on Twitter like Joe did. And our mystery commenter on Instagram. We got it all over the place. And of course, you guys can find me on Twitter at Josh_Finn, 2 N's. I've been playing a lot of Final Fantasy VII Remake over the last week and a half, and that's what the majority of my tweets have been about, is that and my gripes with attempting Returnal. So until next week, from me, from Corey, from John, we will see you Starside Guardians. Have a great week.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye now.